decisions, great mound visits, great job not letting the best player beat you.
This one crushed, out to right field. And it's going to be out of here. Pennsylvania walk-off home run. Travis Devonic sends him to Williamsport.
With the 37th pick of the 2023 MLB Draft, the Detroit Tigers select Kevin McGonigal, a shortstop from Monsignor Bonner High School, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive. Left field. It's deep. It's going. Yes! And it is gone!
Yes!
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, his 10th career home run in the postseason. And he may never hit a bigger one.
What is up, Delaware County, and welcome back for episode number 70. Ben, we've hit the big 7-0. How about that?
Big anniversary milestone, whatever this is for us.
Yeah, I feel like we can, like, our show is old enough to get like the early bird special at the local diner.
Yeah. Let's see, got that. About, what was it, 25 ago was AARP benefits?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if 70 gets you anything specific. I think we can say we've lived a nice life, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right, well, alongside Ben Thorpe, I'm Brendan Ricciardi. As you, I'm sure, know by now, everybody's high school season's off and running. The Interact is going to start on Tuesday. It's kind of weird that none of them have played conference games yet in the Central League. Some teams have already played like 5 or 6 games, but I mean, when you only play 10 conference games, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, it will be easier to fit in, especially if they're probably doing two a week like everyone else. You can you have a little bit more freedom.
Yep. All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about this week. As I kind of started last week, we got obviously Ben back this week. We're going to kind of go more of like a team by team approach as opposed to just starting with all the games Monday, then games Tuesday, then there's just too many games at this point to really have it be, have it make sense for us to do it like that. So we're going to just break down some of the biggest storylines, our takeaways. We'll have the power rankings. We will have the players of the week, and we'll have a huge game of the week announcement. But first, we got a quick word from our friends over at STS.
If you love working with kids and making a difference, then Substitute Teaching is the perfect job for you. Substitute Teacher Service is hiring teachers in your area year-round for all positions and levels. A teaching degree is not required. We provide you with all necessary certification and even help you to work towards a full-time teaching position. Great benefits, flexible schedule, a rewarding career. The Subservice is hiring right now in your area. Learn more and apply today at thesubservice.com.
All right, thank you to STS for being a great sponsor for us. They have the power rankings, they got the final score graphics, and they got the best substitute teacher in the tri-state area. I can't even say Delco because I don't sub in Delco that much because Strathaven doesn't pay very well. Anyway, not the point. But excited for hopefully some people to join with STS. All right, let's get into the storylines from this week. Let's start with our game of the week. Ben, show off the logo presented by the Upper Darby Blue Sox Delco League 2021 and 2024 champions, which made sense because the game was over at Cardinal O'Hara. We had O'Hara taking down Carroll 8-1. Great performance from Jack Quinn. Drove in 4 runs at the plate through 5 strong innings on the mound. And Ben, I know as much as you wanted Upper Darby Blue Sox, Brendan Till to win the player of the game, I think Jack Quinn didn't really give us a choice.
Yeah, well deserved. He was fantastic on the mound. Had a couple really huge hits for them at the plate. Kind of unquestionable. Till had a great game. I think he was 3 for 4 with like a double, triple, and a home run or something like that.
I think he had. I don't think he had the triple. I think he had single double
and home run. Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I mean, fantastic game out of Jack. So, congrats to him.
He struck out 10. He allowed just 1 hit that I would kind of take accountability for jinxing in a bit. I never said the words no hitter, but I think in the 4th inning, I read his whole stat line and said no hits. So at some point, I don't think I jinxed it. It was unfortunate timing, but at some point you got to let the audience know. It's not like we have graphics that we can put out there for people to see without us actually saying, but it was pretty soon after I said that he let up the only hit of the game.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But it's all right. It's not like you did it, in the 7th inning. There's still a long way to go.
All right. Well, also in that game, Jake Steigerwalt hit a no-doubter down the left field line. A great catch. Shout out to Dad in left field that caught that home run ball. Him and his kid, they both had gloves, and he made the catch. So that was pretty awesome. I got excited when announcing that one. Thomas Flynn had 2 hits, and it was just a really good all-around performance from Carroll. But more importantly, we got some great interviews. So I'm gonna put these video clips in. First, we have the interview of myself interviewing Jack Quinn, then Rob Benedict, head coach for O'Hara, and then most importantly, the O'Hara bench mob. Check it out. All right, we're here with our Delco Baseball Now player of the game, Jack Quinn. Jack, we'll start off with the pitching side of things. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts. How'd you feel out there today?
I felt good. Established the fastball, threw my curveball for strikes, and pitched well. Threw a lot of strikes.
Now, how does it feel offensively to be able to drive in 4 runs to kind of support yourself and really pick up the offense?
Yeah, it's good. I've been playing here for a couple years now, so it was time for me to have some good games. So, decided to play well, I guess. I don't know.
How good does it feel to steal the Player of the Game award from Brendan Till?
Feels good. He's my cousin, so that's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's a nice little rivalry. But, yeah, it feels good.
All right, just going forward, you guys got a tough game with Conwell Egan coming up on Wednesday. What do you guys have to do to just keep this momentum going?
Well, Egan's got some really good arms, so we just got to be hunting fastballs and then playing loose.
All right, that's good. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Good luck. All right, we're here with head coach Rob Benedict. Coach, great win for you guys today. What'd you like from the team?
I like their discipline at the plate. I like that Quinny threw strikes. Played solid defense. A couple of base running blunders, but overall I thought we played a good, solid game.
How good does it feel for you as a coach to be able to have Brendan Till at the top of that order, just an extra base hit machine?
It's great, and that's why we hit him at the top, because you can't pitch around him. You don't want to walk the leadoff guy, right?
Oh, look, we got some new friends here.
So you got
it's better than dumping water, right?
Yeah. Although I'm sweating now. Yeah, he's a great hitter, so let's get rolling. Set the tone.
You guys got a tough game coming up with Egan on Wednesday. What do you guys need to do to keep this momentum going?
Plate discipline, hit strikes, throw strikes.
I'm impressed that this is all stayed on your head here.
That's because there's no hair for it to slide off.
The players on the team have been saying you're the most Delco coach out here in Delaware County. What does that honor mean to you?
Well, I grew up in Delco, so it's a pretty good honor, I think, right? So represent.
Absolutely. All right, good luck, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That.
All right, we're here with the Cardinal O'Hara bench mob. Gentlemen, what is it about being on the bench mob that brings you guys so much pride?
So we are an amazing bench mob. Our bench mob is amazing, and our chirps are amazing, our chants are amazing, our energy is amazing, everything's amazing.
Do any of you guys want to be on the field, or do you enjoy the bench mob?
I'll pass that question to someone else.
Bench mob is the spot to be.
Personally enjoy it.
Personally enjoy it. Do you guys think you have the best bench mob in the PCL?
Oh my God!
Easy. If any other bench mob wants to challenge us, go ahead. Go ahead.
Where do you guys find the material for these chirps? Are they organic, or do you have a good source?
Organic. Sometimes I'll assign homework and you got to come with 10 chirps to the game, but rather than that, it's pretty organic.
Okay. We had one question that we were going to ask that we forgot everybody else. What's the best pizza in Delco? You guys have opinions? I'm sure you guys are kind of from all over the place. Yeah.
I got to go with Pika's. Pika's is incredible.
Is it going to be in Delco for too long? It might be moving. Might be moving.
Going straight to Broomall.
Yeah.
I think that's what the rumors
Inside
are.
scoop, straight to Broomall.
Do you know where?
Broomall.
All right. Anything else you guys would like to add here? 2-0 on the year.
Broomall.
All right, fellas. Good luck with
Roll
Conwell.
Lions.
Appreciate it.
The O'Hara bench mob, they were very adamant that they wanted to be interviewed. I was messing with them, asking them a bunch of questions, and then I just said I wasn't going to interview them just to mess with them. But we got it in. These guys were funny. They brought the energy. And, I think that, having been on teams where the team energy has been off the charts and success has followed, it's obviously not the main reason, but it's a part of the reason they're 3-0 in the PCL, just bringing that energy.
Yeah, no, that's – when you have a bunch of guys who maybe aren't playing as much, obviously aren't playing as much as some of the starters, but still get together, still rally behind the team and just keep the energy up. It's good. It helps the guys that are out there playing. And when those guys get a shot, they're already kind of locked into the game. I think a couple of the guys from that bench mob went in the pitch.
I think Camposano was the main one talking.
Yeah, the leader.
I think he closed the game.
Yeah. Or
at least
no, he was
one of the
in.
later innings.
Yeah, he did pitch a scoreless inning, so like
Yeah.
it's it works. I think having it's kind of the thing of having everyone going towards the same goal. Still, it's not a bunch of guys sitting there pissed that they're not playing or whatever. Like they're all just kind of rallying behind each other and going out and having a good time. That's kind of what baseball's about.
Yeah, like I kind of realized like my club baseball season where we won the national championship, not the one I got hurt. Like I knew I wasn't one of the best 9. So like being on the bench when you just like when you should be is kind of peaceful. It's when you think like, that you should be out there, that's when there's some like resentment. But if you could look in the mirror and be like, I'm good, but like they're better, then you could just be like, all right, hey, we're just here to win at this point,
Yeah, I mean, you had the one kid there that when you asked if they'd rather be out there, he's like, personally, I enjoy it.
Yeah. It's like, I love it here. The boys
No,
got me.
That's
Well,
good.
I'll tell you
That's
what.
good. It's a very, very funny answer, but like,
Yeah.
no, that's
I'll tell you what. Also on the Carroll side of things, just a young team. We knew that going in. They got a lot of new faces. They got a new coach. Obviously, their ace, Duke, starting pitcher, is out for the season. So it's going to take a little bit of adjusting. I think right now at this point, Coach Dunn is just trying to figure out like who is going to be a big part of the next future. And hey, I mean, they went 1-11 in the PCL last year. They already won a game this year. So you gotta take some positives, right? They beat Lansdale Catholic on, I think, Wednesday.
Yeah, they did. I forget the exact score of that.
2-1, 3-2. It was close. Matt McGeough pitched really well. But yeah, I think that from Carroll, like we just, I don't think anyone there went into the season expecting like deep playoff run. But I think they were 2-17 last year. They've already won more games. I think Gavin Moore is going to be a big piece in the lineup both this year and next year. And then when they get Bennett Bishop back, I think next year's the year they can take off. But for them, it was good to get him on the game of the week. I think we had him against Bonner last year as well. Good to meet Coach Dunn and excited to see. Shout out their play-by-play guy who was a freshman. I think his name was Nick. That guy was electric. He's going to put us out of a job soon.
Yeah, one of these days. But yeah, no, definitely like a younger team, and you're kind of I guess almost a clean slate for Coach Dunn over there. But they were competitive. I think they had a chance early to take the lead, I think in the top of the first, and a couple chances to get back into the game and just, weren't able to take those chances, but they're young. I think again, like they're competitive. There's definitely a future there.
Well, back on the O'Hara side of things, moving on to later in the week, like if you had told me at the beginning of the week they'd beat Carroll, I'd say, oh, okay, like we kind of saw that coming. They crushed Conwell Egan. They crushed the Conwell Egan team, who I think was third in the PCL last year. They went on the road and they hung 14 on them. They beat them 14-4 in that game. They were down 3-0. They scored 8 unanswered runs. Sean Vaughn, once again, as we mentioned on the broadcast, great name, 3 hits. Jack Quinn, 2 more hits. Jake Steigerwalt drove in 3. Jack Coleman and Sean McGillivray both had 2 hits. And the fact that we said all of those names and Brendan Till wasn't even mentioned, he had a fine day. I think it was 1 for 3. Like, is showing that the depth in this lineup, I think, is a lot more than we thought going into the year.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought that this was going to be a very top-heavy lineup. They have, I think, proved the both of us wrong so far. And the crush a Common League team that went in. We talked about Bonner, like in terms of the PCL kind of being the cream of the crop for Delco. And that team beat Bonner this week, and they went in and crushed them. So I think it's showing that, like, not only are they, this O'Hara team, like they seem to make that statement of like, we're not going to be just like that fringe playoff team that we've been the past couple of years. Like they seem like they're here to compete.
If they can get into that top 6 and not have to play the play-in game, that's huge. Because then now all of a sudden, whoever they view as their top pitcher between Jack Quinn and Adam Schreiber, then you get someone else's number 2, and then you can really do some damage. But talking about Adam Schreiber, he bounced back in a big way because in that first PCL start, he was a bit wild. I'm totally blanking on who they played, and it was the Judge game that they came back and won. He only had 1 walk in his 4 1/3. He really kept them in the game and battled. And I mean, I think that if you're Coach Benedict, you can live with the, I think it was 7 hits and 4 runs. It's the 1 walk that you're happy about, saying, hey, we told you to let them, trust your defense and let them hit. And that's what they're doing. That's just a huge win for their confidence, 3-0. And I mean, I don't know how many wins at this point, like it takes to get your spot in the top 10 out of 13. But I also think they have their sights set a lot higher than that. And I'm going to pull up here. I'm totally blanking on who they play this week on Monday. But like now, like their first 2 games were good. This was great. And now they're going to play Roman Catholic, who's 0-2, and then St. Joe's Prep, who I think is either maybe 1-2 or hasn't, got off to a great start. So if they're sitting at like 5-0 next week, things get really interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they have the opportunity to do that. Just, one of those things where you got to keep that, you kind of have to keep your head down, like keep your foot on the gas instead of looking like, oh my God, we're 3-0. Like you just got to keep going, like keep mowing these teams down. And at some point you're going to be in a really good position. I mean, they already are in a pretty good position starting 3-0, but you look at 5-0 and it's okay. Like we're going to be in the playoffs because there's probably, I would imagine there's 3 teams that aren't going to win 5 PCL games.
Yeah, that's fair.
And from there it's only up.
All right, we'll stay in the Catholic League. We mentioned Bonner lost their first game of the week to Conwell Egan, but they came back and they beat Father Judge. A no-hitter from Jack Redding, our Dollar Dog Day player of the game last year. Just a ridiculous start, mostly because in the 7 innings pitch, no hits, no runs, only 2 walks. Bonner made 4 errors in the field behind him, and it still only took him 81 pitches to finish this off.
Yeah, he was fantastic, and I thought he looked really good when he threw against Marple to finish out that game of the week, and he's clearly just carried it on and just doing his thing. I mean, obviously, he seems like a guy who's going to attack the zone a lot, and clearly it's working for him. I mean, just a very efficient outing.
And, if you're Coach DeBar, like the fact that he's giving you that start when you thought it would be Corey Sheridan, who's a little banged up right now. I think he'll be back at some point this year, most likely. But, when you were like, all right, like we lost our ace Rutgers commit, in the rotation, our number 3 is now coming in and you get a no-hitter from him. So you're seeing the kind of pitching depth that Bonner has. We saw Danny Buckton looked great against Marple as well. I think that getting Corey Sheridan back is obviously going to be needed if they want to win the PCL. But I think what we've seen from Johnny Ortega and Jack Redding is like, they're still good enough to be a good team. They just want to get him back so they can be great.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they really needed that start out of Jack. There was a lot of questions about the offense coming in just because they were bringing back so many guys, or they lost so many guys. And then now you have questions with, what's going on with our ace, like what's happening here, like who's going to come in and fill that spot. And he came in a no-hitter, like you can't get much better than that. So clearly I think it's showed like they still have like a lot of really good stability at starting pitcher. So it's, one less thing to worry about. Now you can kind of just focus on hitting.
How about Corey Sheridan getting the start at DH and walking 3 times?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's gritty right there. Ryan Friel had a big day. He doubled, he homered, he drove in 4 runs on the first 2 innings of the game. So he got the offense going. I think they scored 7 within the first 2 innings, and then the rest of the game was just nothing on either side. But that's a good win for Bonner. You really don't want to start 0-3 in the PCL. Like as mentioned, you just want to kind of stay in the mix. Like if they have Corey back and they make the playoffs, especially if they're in that top 6 where they don't have to burn him in the wild card round, I think they'll feel good even if they're a bit of a lower seed, especially because the semis and the championship are neutral site. So it's not like you're just, like you're going to have to go the whole way on the road. Like last year, the semis were at FDR, and I think the championship this year it's at Widener. I think it might have been at Newman last year, but I think they'll be in a fine spot, and their pitching I think is good enough. They will be playing. Let's check who they'll be playing this upcoming week here. I know that they play the Haverford School next Saturday for a non-conference game. They'll be taking on Newman Goretti and then Archbishop Ryan. And Ryan has a West Virginia recruit, David Perez, who had a walk-off homer that I saw on Twitter. He's a freak. But yeah, I think if Bonner just keep treading water, go 1-1 this week, like just stay in the mix, and you can strike when the time comes. But any last thoughts on the Friars here?
Honestly, I couldn't agree with you more. Like it's you're dealing with some injuries. It's frustrating. It's tough.
Sergio Hernandez is hurt too.
Yeah. But just keep your head above water. These are obviously 2 good teams, but 2 very winnable games. You can go out and either get yourself at 2-3 or what 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Also,
mad.
I think Mike Klonowski hurt too. All right, let's move on to the hottest team in Delco. This is not a debate. This is not up for discussion. The Haverford Public Fords are 8-0 on the year. They took down Conestoga. They crushed Conestoga 11-2 on Monday. They beat Ridley 7-2 on Wednesday, and then they beat a really good Westchester Henderson team on the road 7-5 yesterday on Friday. This is being recorded Saturday afternoon. So on Friday, they took down Westchester Henderson, and I said it in the game recap, but a lot of teams, and this isn't trying to subtweet or call anyone out, like some teams will just schedule non-conference games that are on the easier side, let the younger guys play, get some reps, maybe get some guys who are slumping, more in a rhythm. But Haverford said, no, we want to prepare ourselves for what we're going to get in the playoffs. Plymouth Whitemarsh win, Ruston win, now Henderson win. Those are three really good teams that are going to have deep playoff runs, and now they're both 5-0 in the Central League and 8-0 overall, and they seem like the most well-rounded group we've seen all year.
Yeah, I would agree. And they've again scheduled hard and won all their games. They're looking like a really good team.
And now, the fact is that they have the pitching depth. We kind of knew they were, going to have the pitching depth. I think their offense is better than we might have thought. Like, last year, I think last year their offense was, if you had to rate it 1 to 10, maybe like a 5 or 6. I think they're probably closer to that 7 or 8 range this year. And talking to Coach Brian Miller before the season, like that was his goal. He's like, we know we're going to pitch. We know that we have pretty good defense, but like we need to have more of a top to bottom hitting lineup. And I think that, we're seeing Cam McCormick has made a leap. Jimmy Boyle, I think, had a bit of a down year offensively last year, but he's hitting well. And, he missed the prior week from being sick. I think Sam Sturman's made a big impact. Ryan Cassidy, like Rocco Kelleher, they got guys up and down the lineup that are hitting. Shane Durkin, like, I mean, it's hard to see like what their flaw is. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think as long as they're healthy, there's really not many holes in this team. There's really like no holes, no weaknesses. They're again like just going to be a really good team, and I feel pretty confident saying that they're going to make the 6A playoffs. Like I think with a really good shot to go far in that.
Yeah, and most importantly, when was the last time we've had any of our teams get that bye week? Because now you can get, if they're, I would say I would like to bet that they're going to be in that top 8. I think in that bracket, is it 32? No, it's 24. 24. It's 24, and then 12 is 5A. I think that there's a very good chance that they end up in that top 8. They can get a bye, and it could be Jimmy Boyle versus someone's number 2. And quite frankly, my senior year in 2017 was when they changed from the 4 classes to 6. I don't even remember a 6A team going far, like Final Four far.
No, there really hasn't been. I know. I mean, I wasn't following as much. Just once I was kind of out, once I kind of got out of high school, and then from when I started here, I didn't follow it a ton, especially like 6A because Springfield was 5A. But yeah, since I've been writing here, I don't think a 6A team. We've had a couple teams win. We had Upper Darby won a game, Lower Merion won a game.
Garnet won last year, and
Garnet
I think
won.
maybe
Haverford won last year.
Haverford won last year, yeah.
But that's kind of it. Like it's usually like one and done.
I mean, Haverford's biggest problem might be they might not know who to start in their second playoff game. Gavin McClaffery's been great. Lucas Rothstein's been great. Cam McCormick's been great. They got Rocco Kelleher. Like they got plenty of arms. It's a good problem to have here. We'll talk about this a little foreshadow. I mean, I imagine anyone that's big in Delco baseball probably knows where we're headed for our game of the week next week. But they got a big game coming up with Radnor on Monday. Let's move on. Lower Merion, I would say, is the surprise team. Like Cardinal O'Hara, I would say, is the surprise team of Delco, but of the Central League, Lower Merion has been awesome so far. They're 4-1 on the year. They had to replace their top 4 pitchers from last year: Van Wilner, Isaiah Negron, Justin Spiegler, and Ryan Scholes. And they brought in a set of twin brothers, Brian and Justin Heck, who have been outstanding for them so far. They beat, I think their Upper Darby was their first game of this week, and they won on Monday. But Garnet Valley was the game where they really said, like, hey, like, we're here. You know, I mean, that is going to cause a big flop in our power rankings. They went up 3-0. As we know Garnet can do, they stormed back. They scored 4, but then Lower Merion down 4-3 in the top of the 7th after just letting up the go-ahead run. They came back. They scored 2 in the top of the 7th. I believe Ryan Scholes, I think, singled to tie the game, and then Brody Slensky hit a sack fly, and then Ryan Scholes closed out the win as well. So he tied the game, scored the winning run, got the save on the mound for Lower Merion. Just a massive road win. Brian Heck threw 4 shutout innings. Justin Heck threw 2 innings, a couple unearned runs, and then Scholes closed it out. But, man, this pitching staff seems to be really good, and especially with, you know, the Central League only having the 2-game weeks. Like, if you're getting Brian Heck and you're getting Justin and you're getting Scholes and Peyton Spiegler and Will like, these guys clearly have the pitching to keep up this year, and I think the offense has been a lot better than we thought, too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think hand up with this, like, I had no idea they had this much left after all the guys they graduated last year. I really thought it was going to be more of a rebuild type thing. There's so many guys that come in, stepped up, especially on the pitching side, and they've done a really great job of being able to just piece it together. And, you know, like, no one's being left out too long. No one's kind of having bad outings. Like, it's running like a well-oiled machine over there right now.
I mean, their only Central League loss was in 10 innings to Haverford, who's 8-0. So, like, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to be upset about that. Credit to Coach Colin Quinn for making sure these guys knew, like, hey, like, we're not rebuilding. You know, this isn't a retool year. This is a Lower Merion baseball is getting respect now. Because let's be honest, even going back to when we were there and further, nobody feared Lower Merion.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, they were kind of
they stopped our 7-game win streak when I was a senior. But again, like, they didn't make the playoffs. They're probably under 500. Lower Merion has always had good players, but not necessarily a fully good team. That's how I've kind of viewed Sun Valley sometimes. Like, a lot of good players come out of there, but the whole roster as a whole hasn't lived up to it. And this year they look great, 4-1 on the year, and we'll see in a little bit where they land on the power rankings here. But yeah, any last thoughts on the Aces? This is a hand up accountability thing right here.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Short of I'm sorry, like, outside of that, keep it rolling. I think they are probably another good week away from us, like, having to really, like, put them. I mean, you'll see in a little bit, but like, for us, like, really having to be like, no, this is like going from like, oh, like, surprise team, like, these guys are actually good, to like, these guys are going to compete for the league again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk some Strathaven here. They started 0-2 on the year, but since then, the pitching staff has just been absurd. They've thrown back-to-back no-hitters. Last week against Marple, they only let up 1 hit. It was a Justin DeSantis solo homer. We'll start on Monday. They beat Pencrest. You know, this is, if as wrong as we were about Lower Merion, that's where we were right about Strathaven, as all their games are low scoring, and we knew that they were going to come down to, you know, who can make the big plays, and this week it was them. They beat Pencrest 4-3. Rob Matei threw 5 strong innings. Caden Schuster and new secret weapon out of the pen, Jasper Halls, closed it out. Luke Dancona had 2 hits. I believe Pencrest coach Austin Morgan was ejected in this game for a call at home plate. Well, we won't comment on any further, but it's kind of it's kind of a funny video if you go back and watch it.
Is there? I haven't seen the video.
It's on Game Changer. I don't know if it might just be because I have access to see it, but I feel like in high school I don't really see too many coaches get ejected. So welcome to Central League.
Hey, go get your money's worth, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, we said he wears his heart on his sleeve. Like, he's proving us right.
A little bit of a scary moment in that second game. They played Marple Newtown on Wednesday, where they won 4-1. Luke Dancona was rolling. He struck out 10 of the first 11 hitters he faced. Actually, one was a Justin DeSantis solo homer, but he hit John Matthews in the head with a pitch, and Matthews was not the one that got hurt on the pitch. Dancona was. Looked like something kind of like pec area, maybe. Didn't look like a elbow or shoulder. We don't need to speculate too much on that, but he did have to come out of the game I think it was in the 4th inning. But because of the emergence of Jasper Halls, they didn't miss a beat, because Halls went 3 2/3. He went the rest of the game, didn't let up any hits, any runs, had 7 strikeouts, and Strathaven struck out 17 Marple Newtown hitters.
Jesus, that is what, 21 outs?
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
Boring day for the defense.
Yeah, no, you're just sitting there. You could probably bring your phone out if you're in the outfield, throw on whatever your favorite show is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's awesome, man.
Get some Delco Baseball Now podcast listening in. Just stick an AirPod in there.
Yeah.
This was a good game. Strathaven tied it up 1-1 in the bottom of the fifth on an Eli Price single. It was a good start from Jack Mahalik. He went 5 innings, just allowed that 1 earned run. But after he left and Jake Gorman came in, Will Taylor hit an RBI single to make it 2-1. The big blow of the game was the 9-hitter, Matt Caputo, hitting a 2-run single for Strathaven. And that's pretty much, when we talked to Coach Brian Feely before the season, he's like, hey, we're not going to have much power. We are not going to be a team driven by power this year. We're going to be a team that 1 through 9 is just going to give you good at bats. And at the end of the day, I think that regardless of how far they go in the playoffs, unless they win a state championship, it's going to be, the clutch hitting that's going to be what drives how far they go. Like they're going to be, I don't think this team is equipped kind of like the 2023 team to just run away, like just pull away and beat you 10-2, 11-2. Like even in games they win, comfortably, like that Springfield one, it's gonna be like 5 or 6 runs. They never really are gonna have true blowout games. But the question is, can they get that clutch hit? And this week the answer was yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. They seem to really be kind of getting rolling with, maybe everyone kind of understanding how they're going to play the game. They're getting used to, I think, playing these really close games again. Because the last 2 years, like they did beat up on some teams. So yeah, they're used to being in these close games. They're used to having to need big hits, especially out of guys in the bottom of the lineup. Talk about Matt Caputo out of the 9 hole, getting a huge single. I think everyone's starting to understand their role, get going, and obviously when you have a pitching staff like they have, it takes a lot of pressure off everyone else.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see how long Luke Dancona is out, but I think Feely is comfortable with Matei, Schuster, having Jasper Halls now, who seems like he's kind of being built up for a bigger workload. Like he'd more been the de facto closer, but he threw 3 2/3. And I would like to think if Dancona is out this week, I could see maybe them skipping his start this week. The next week is spring break, where I don't think there's that many conference games. I could be wrong on that, but I think at least there's some more non-conference games. Let's see. No, so they have one Central League game that week. So I feel like maybe just skip a round or 2 in the rotation and just try and save them. It's a long year. It's better news that it's most likely a pec or something as opposed to elbow, shoulder.
Yeah. Pecs can be tricky though. I mean, and those really just need time.
That's more likely to re-injure. All right, moving on here. We are going to go. Garnet Valley did lose that tough game against Lower Merion, but they did win an equally thrilling game against Ridley on Monday. And this game was just about resilience because these guys went up 4-0. Ridley came back and tied it, and then Garnet Valley said, "Hey, we're good. We're going to come back." We scored 3 more runs, and they won this one. So it was big days from Chris Schaller and Harrison Mall. Schaller had an RBI ground out. Mall had an RBI double to go up 2-0. Later on, when it was tied again, it was a Schaller single and then a Harrison Mall single to make it 6-4. Both RBI singles. I think those guys, it's hard because we don't have access to all the stats for every team, but are having 2 of the better years. And Garnet Valley, I think, is similar to what we thought they're going to be. I think their pitching has been overall pretty good. Is it good enough to get through a full 6A bracket? Maybe. I think they might be in a better pitching spot than last year because Joe Anzalone's been great. Ryan McGee's been good. Dylan Orr, I think, is just a sophomore. He's been really good out of the back end. So I think right now they're in the process of kind of figuring out who their top guys are because I feel like they're in a similar boat with Lower Merion. A lot of guys are getting 4 innings to try and figure it out.
Yeah, I think. And maybe this is just what they're going to roll with. Maybe you don't have a guy that's going to go out and throw a complete game for you. But they're making it work with what they got. I know pitching was a question mark for them. I would say it's gone a lot better than maybe it was going last year. So I think you can be really happy with it and just hope these guys can keep improving.
Yeah, and middle of the order has been as good as advertised. Brady Thompson's having a good year. Harrison Mall, Cole Lombardo, Chris Schaller, Nolan Carroll's doing great as well. He's gonna be headed to Ursinus. So I just think that this team is about what we expected. I think right now they're sitting at 3-2 in the Central League. We'll see how things continue to progress. I expect them to, I think, make the playoffs and probably end up somewhere in maybe like the, I don't know, like 12 to 18 range of those 24 teams.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels fair.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. I don't even know exactly how or like what to talk about here, but like every time when we talk about the Del Val or when we just like watch these games and I see a result of 33-0 between Interboro and Penwood, I just come back to the question, is anybody benefiting from this? Is anyone enjoying this? Like, I personally don't even think I would enjoy. I would rather lose by 1 than win by 33. Like, it's not fun for anyone. It's a 3-inning game. You know, I don't know what the solution is, but like, I feel bad. Like, that's the only thing. I feel bad for both teams in this.
Yeah. I mean, that, to your point, I would probably still rather win by 33, but
I don't know, man. It's just like, it's almost it's uncomfortable to be on the field.
Yeah, it is a little like, I've never really been a part of one of those games, so I don't really know what it feels like. But yeah, it's definitely, it almost just kind of feels like a wasted day, probably, when you go out there for both teams, where it's like, we probably didn't even need to do this. But that's how it's gonna go. I mean, we know how the Del Val is. We know there's a pretty significant talent disparity between the top 2 teams and the bottom 3 teams, and you're gonna see stuff like that.
I really don't know. Like, I don't know enough about the Del Val to talk other sports. I know in football, like, Chester's very good now. I know they haven't always been. They're obviously really good at basketball. Interboro had that. They have a couple good football runs where that guy Camara was like just terrorizing people, and you know they played Bonner in the state playoff game. Like, I know it's not, you know, baseball is such a unique sport, you know, like that. But I don't know what the solution is, because I also feel like if Chichester and Interboro went to the Central League, probably wouldn't go that well for them. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel bad. I don't even know. Like, I wrote this on here because I just wanted to like address it, but I don't know what they can do. Like, Interboro is 4A now, which is good. I think they'll have a better chance in the district playoffs. Chichester is still 5A, but like, just every time I see these games, like I always feel bad posting them because like I'm not trying to embarrass people, and then of course the troll comments come in, and it's just like we're just telling you what happened, you know?
Yeah. It's, I mean, you know, we kind of have to report it, like that is a final score that happened in our area that we cover. So
but like anytime Interboro or Chi plays anyone but each other, it's going to be a 15-run or more game. That's just reality.
Yeah, no, it's that's how it's been. That's how it's gonna keep being. I think if you're Interboro and Chi, I think they both do a decent job of scheduling out of conference where like you can have some more competitive games. Interboro goes and sees Ridley a lot. And they just won that game. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they go play Upper Darby. Chi's like scheduled some good games in the past. I think, you know, that's kind of the way to go right now. And then for the other schools, I don't know. I mean, like, it's not, they're trying. I think there's a lot more than meets the eye as to like why these are bad baseball teams. Like,
it's just like baseball is not the biggest sport in those areas, you know. Like it starts at the younger level. Like we're all playing baseball, you know, from such an early age. The little league programs around here are so good. It's just not the biggest sport.
It's not the case. It's not the case for some of these school districts, and it's just how it is. If you're the Del Val, like, what do you do? Because like your other sports are competitive.
Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know. It just sucks. Like, that's all. It just sucks.
Yeah, it definitely sucks.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here. We have not had any Interact action, as we mentioned, any Interact conference action yet. The Haverford school did take down Newman Goretti about an hour before this was being recorded Saturday afternoon. This is one of the most bizarre, if you want to call it, box scores ever. So Haverford school won 5-4. It was on a walk-off single by future Delco Baseball Now intern Pat White, and he'll be joining us in May for his senior project. So the Haverford school, their scoring plays outside of a sac fly, they had Jaden Rivera solo homer, Pat White solo homer, and Pat White walk-off single. Those are the only 4 hits of the game. And I'm not sure I've ever seen something like that where there's 4 hits like that, 3 of them being homers, 1 a walk-off, and that's just it. They had a sac fly, I think probably some walks or errors, but that's just insane. I don't know. That's so bizarre.
I feel like it's like an online box score when you're playing like MLB The Show.
Yeah, and
You get
all
a
you
couple
do is
home runs and you get like a single, and that's kind of it.
exactly.
But yeah, hey, win's a win.
Oh, no complaints at all. It's more just bizarre. It seems like, Haverford School, Jacob Horwitz was the opener. He threw 1 inning, which makes me think he's starting Tuesday against Penn Charter. Would make sense. So I'd imagine he gets that start. They kind of did like a Johnny Holstaff, just have everybody go like 1 inning, 2 innings, 1 inning, 2 innings. I know Owen Murphy had 2 good innings. I think Mike Noon and Nicky Vani, closed it out. But yeah, I mean, it's a good win, especially they lost 4 in a row. And if you want to talk about someone that challenged himself with a non-conference, that's Haverford for you. I mean, their non-conference schedule is brutal. They probably play like 20 more games than some teams just because they're not PIAA, so they can do whatever they want. But they will open up the Interact play against Penn Charter. I think someone DM'd us and said the schedule was wrong. The Penn Charter home and away games got switched, so Tuesday will be at Penn Charter. So Episcopal will play at Malvern Prep. They'll host them, and then Haverford will travel to Penn Charter.
Okay.
To get the Interact play started. Episcopal did not have any games this week, so we don't really have much to talk about with them. They were supposed to play the Hill School yesterday on Friday, but that game got rained out. So not really too much to talk about with the Churchmen yet. Would think probably Hunter West, maybe Logan Carell starts that Malvern Prep game. I know we went to that. It wasn't a game of the week, but I think you and I went to that Episcopal Malvern game at EA last year, and Hunter West started, and I think he threw 2 or 3 shutout innings, but then they took him out, kind of used him as an opener. I know I was there. I forget if you were there with
I might
me.
not have been. I was there for the Haverford game.
Yeah, that was the game of the week. The other, I might have just been there for that game.
I don't remember seeing. I don't think I saw Malvern play. I saw Malvern play Haverford. That was a game we were just at. I don't think I ever saw them play.
Yeah, I went to both Malvern Haverford games last year. I saw Malvern play Episcopal. I saw him scrimmage Strathaven, yeah. But I think this year it would be cool if we did stuff like, even if Delco teams aren't in it, like cover the PCL championship, cover the PESA state championship,
Yeah, it'd be really cool.
Just, hey, maybe we can broadcast it for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
Get a new audience. But all right, that'll pretty much wrap up our storylines here. Before we get into the rest of the show, the power rankings, game of the week, and all that, we got a new sponsor here. So let me tell you a little bit about the Longen Group. Now, this is an ad that we are we're writing ourselves here. He's just like, here's the website. Like, you can just be creative and it's not like a pre-recorded ad like the STS one. So the Longen Group is ran by Charlie Longen. He's the I believe the pitching coach. I know he's an assistant coach at Friends Central. The Longen Group is an insurance company that offers insurance solutions and risk management strategies for both businesses, individuals, and also families that are tailored to meet your unique needs. You can buy insurance anywhere, but at the Longen Group, they build a relationship with you and advise you as your needs evolve so that you stay protected. They offer a full range of high-quality commercial and personal insurance products through strategic alliances with their partners. They provide up-to-date guidance by continually growing their insurance expertise through education, training, and certification. They maintain their competitive edge by utilizing innovative strategies to reach and serve their diverse range of clients and businesses. Now, whether that's personal insurance, business insurance, or insurance by industry, head to Longen Group. That's Longen GRP on the website.com for more. And Ben, we are in the business for liability insurance for our Dollar Dog Days and summer camps. So I think we might have to head over to longengrp.com. What do you think? That's LONGEN.
I think we definitely have to do that. Yeah.
Do we have to cover Friends Central more too? It's hard. I said it's hard covering Friends Central sometimes because it's non-Delco and they're not playing Delco teams all the time.
Yeah, it can be a little difficult, but they come in.
That's
they
another
come
thing.
in
Like we could like go to like the Friends League championship against like Shipley, or whoever they play in that, All right, let's get into our power rankings here. So we got a shakeup for the first time all year, and this definitely was the debate that we had to make. We're putting Haverford at 1, and it's partially it's not really Radnor's fault because they didn't play any games this week. They were in Florida playing some scrimmages, so they're 3-0 overall and 3-0 in the Central League. But Haverford's now 5-0 in the Central League, 8-0 overall, and at the end of the day, the way I describe it is Haverford deserves it. They've earned it. They challenged themselves with these tough non-conference games. They played 2 extra Central League games, haven't skipped a beat. They seem like they have one of the most, if not the most well-rounded roster from top to bottom. And at the end of the day, it's as much as we love Radnor, this is more of a Haverford thing than a Radnor thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a tough spot. No, a little bit of a tough spot for us because Radnor on paper has been so good, and they've done nothing to like lose that spot. They've won all their games. They've looked very good in all of them. But yeah, I mean, Haverford, you look at the resume, you look at how they've played in all of these games, and it's kind of hard to not give them the top spot.
Yeah, I mean, we want to reward them for how they've challenged themselves, how they've played, and how they've answered every call. But you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because when they play on Monday, the winner gets the top spot.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be people yelling at us is going to be like pretty short until they play, and then we'll just
it's going to be simple. But obviously, Radnor's number 2. They've done nothing to deserve being dropped. It's just the way that Haverford's played. You know, I would probably argue still the best 1-2 in Delco with Austin Havertine and Daniel Kellis, and then 1-2-3 with Ryan McWilliams in there as well. Their question is going to be, can they keep up the offense enough to support these guys? I think so, but that's what we're going to find out throughout the season. Number 3, no change here for Bonner. You know, losing that Conwell-Egan game. Again, still a good Egan team, but, you know, rebounding with a nice win against Father Judge keeps them in that 3 spot. Strathaven, they went 2-0 this week. They're now 4-1 in the Central League, 4-2 overall. Luke Dancona potentially being out for a little bit obviously could hurt, but until we really know, there's no point of dropping them in the rankings yet. They've taken care of business. They've had 3 of their last 4 games. They've had a hit or 0 hits allowed. So it's, you know, still one of the best pitching staffs around. Lower Merion jumps into the top 5, Ben. I think that we are both pretty much in agreement here that they deserve this.
Yeah, absolutely. They've won they're 4-1 in the league.
Yep,
absolutely deserve it.
Yep. Number 6, we got the Haverford School. They rebounded with a nice win over Newman Goretti on Saturday. But for them, really, in their eyes, they're 0-0 right now. Like their season starts truly on Tuesday because they know that, you know, obviously your non-conference record in the PACE state tournament matters in terms of seeding. But I believe all the Interact teams get in regardless. So, like, in their eyes, they're 0-0 really right now. So now's where the fun gets started for the Haverford School. Number 7, we got Garnet Valley. Feels like they're always kind of hovering in that, you know, 6, 7, 8, 5, that kind of range down there. They lost one of their games this week to, as mentioned, Lower Merion, but they did beat Ridley, so they hang around there. Number 8, we got Marple. Starting to see, as Coach Toby McCart mentioned, the offense just kind of their growing pains a little bit. Aiden Kern still hasn't pitched yet this year. So I think, Ben, if they can get him back, we could see them slide up there. But I think for now, the sense we get from Marple is playoff team, but maybe not Central League contender.
Yeah, I think that's fair for right now. There's just going to be some growing pains, like you said.
I think they're going to be very good next year. I think with Aiden Curran, hopefully healthy as a senior. I really like Jake Gorman. A lot of the young guys. Jordan DePinto is a future star. I mean, he had a huge 3-run double against Harrington in their extra inning win on Monday, and he's just a freshman. So a bright future. I think this is kind of their return to earth year after a great year last year.
Yeah, I agree.
And number 9, welcome the boys. Cardinal O'Hara, the bench mob, making it in. You know, at 3-0 in the PCL, they earned this. And it's another thing where it's not Episcopal didn't really do anything to lose this spot. It's just the way O'Hara has played. They deserve it. You know, their losses, they lost a really close game to Malvern Prep. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 runs. And I feel like where they're at right now, 3-0 in a great conference like that, if they didn't beat Egan as handily as they did, maybe they're not in here, but they 10-run a really good team on the road, and they're not showing any signs of slowing down.
Yeah, they definitely made the statement that they belong in here.
Bench mob. Those guys are an electric factory. All right, let's move on to, as mentioned, those power rankings are presented by Substitute Teacher Service, but our players of the week here, Ben, another pretty easy week for us in terms of picking. We'll start off with our pitcher. It's none other than Jack Redding. When you throw a no-hitter, you probably are going to get this spot unless someone throws a better no-hitter or a perfect game. 7 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Really just trusting the defense behind him.
Yeah, just pretty easy pick. Did a great job, very efficient. And like we said, like a much needed start for a Bonner team that started 0-2 in the PCL. So yeah, I mean, well deserved.
It's funny seeing like someone like him kind of almost be like one of your leaders now, where last year he was a junior on like a 10 senior team.
Yeah,
Now it's like,
yeah.
hey, like you went from being, like the quiet third baseman that's only playing because Jackson Kehoe, his knees messed up, to now like you're one of the leaders. I don't think they do captains. I remember D-Bar saying, I could be wrong, I forget. But I'm not sure they do captains. And either way, he's leading by example more than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, our hitter of the week, that would be from the Haverford School. It's Jaden Rivera, because Ben, in 8 plate appearances, guess how many times Jaden reached base?
8.
He reached base all 8 times. That is correct.
You told me that wasn't just.
Oh, I know. I know. Don't worry. Yeah. So he went 4 for 4 with 4 walks, 2 homers, just a monster week. I know at least one of those walks, one of the ones to Newman Goretti, was intentional. But anytime that you are able to reach base all 8 times, you're going to get a spot on this list. The 2 homers help. I think he's at either 4 or 5 homers on the year, whatever it is. It leads Delco. I don't think I have access to their stats, but I'm sure that OPS is doing great. And certainly right now a candidate for Delco Player of the Year as just a junior.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had a really impressive start. As they get into interact play, things are going to start to ramp up. And, we'll really see how he does against some of those just like high quality arms that they're going to see. But he's put himself in a really good spot.
Yes, sir. Jaden was a first team outfielder first last year for our all Delco team. So it seems like he's well on his way to running that back again. All right, let's move on here to the game of the week. Ben, this is the first time in our game of the week history we've ever had a number 1 versus number 2. When we did the Dollar Dog Day, that was not a game of the week. That was just a Dollar Dog Day. That was something completely separate. So we're heading to Haverford. Haverford High School will host number 1 Haverford, taking on number 2 Radnor. Jimmy Boyle for Haverford pitched last Monday, so safe to assume he's got this Monday. Interesting for Radnor, they haven't played a game, I think, since last Monday when they had a couple scrimmages in Florida. So it seems like anybody could be available. It seems like, based on what we've seen, it's probably Austin Havertine, but Daniel Kellis could get the start too. I would probably think Havertine. What about you?
I agree. I think Havertine right now seems to still be their big game guy. And Daniel Kellis at some point could become that, but Havertine's done nothing to lose it. So I expect to see him out there.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm expecting as well. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in for this episode of Delco Baseball Now. We've really started to hit our stride. We're starting to see, who are going to be some of the best teams that we got this year. I think we're in for some deep playoff runs. We got some very deep pitching staffs here. I'm very excited for the Interact to start. And Ben, we got one more week until spring break here. But for right now, I'm excited to get the Interact started and really start diving into these conference matchups. Any last thoughts for the week?
No, I mean, it should be a really fun week. I think we got a number 1 versus number 2 matchup and a couple other really good ones to pay attention to. So get ready for a lot of good baseball.
It just starts the week off with such a rush.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out all of our interns working behind the scenes: Shelby Kaufman, Nikki Mozzarella, David Shapansky, all of our photographers as well. We just brought in a new writer, Jason Napoli. Is going to be helping us with some of our PCL game recaps. So excited to keep growing. But for Ben Thorpe, for myself, Brennan Ricciardi, we appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next week.